Welcome to Blowing Solutions Wide Open, where we're talking about all things spiritual as well as creating new systems in the area of healthcare, finance, government, education, new environmental practices, and helping humanity and the planet in any way. If you think that you have ideas or things to share in any of those areas, please feel free to email blowingsolutionswideopen@gmail.com, or you can type the word guest in the comment section of this video, and I'd be happy to get back with you and potentially have you come on here. Also, if you don't care to be on a podcast, but you'd like to get information through, you can certainly put that in the comments or in an email. Please like, subscribe, share, or comment if you want to see more content or you have an interest in getting alternative information out to more people. So, I want to give a warm welcome to my guest. His name is Robert Prasch. He is a life coach, personal trainer, podcast, and a dad. Welcome, Robert. Thank you so much for spending your time with us. One of the things I wanted to start with is uh, can you describe to us like how you got to where you're at? I know you have quite a backstory to, where you came from as opposed to where you're at now.
Yes, thank you so much, Addie, first of all, for inviting me on. It's an absolute pleasure to be here and
Oh,
talk about making some major positive change, not only with ourselves, but with the world. I don't think a lot of people realize how revolutionary of an act just simply changing ourselves, our thoughts, our behaviors, our actions, and how that positive change with love and kindness implemented with it can really radiate throughout the world and make not just us better, but our families better, our communities, and so on and so forth. So the reason why I started my podcast, Creating Greatness, became a life coach and personal trainer, was just with that desire that we're speaking of, the desire to make the world better, to ease the suffering of the world in what little way that I could. And the reason for that was because I myself had led such a destructive lifestyle, all the way up into my early 30s, where I just was a real mess. I didn't know how to behave. I didn't know how to think. I didn't know how to manage my emotions. And I was a very destructive force in my own life and in the lives of the people that I loved. And without getting into graphic details, it led me down drinking. It led me down the road of drugs. It led me down the road of promiscuous activity and criminal mentality. Obviously, that's going to only lead to one place, which is prison, which was well deserved in my case. And fortunately for me, God smiled on me for putting me there. If I was not there, I would have ended up dead for sure, or in jail for a much longer period of time. He told me to stop, take a deep look at myself. I came to I had some epiphanies about myself and my life, made some major changes while on the inside, was introduced to some literature on karma, yoga, meditation, and a little bit of Buddhism. And I took that and just literally ran with it. It was a very instructional type manual, as in how to think, how to breathe, how to meditate, how to stretch the body. So you're working with the mind, body, and soul, and you're activating all three and sort of putting those things in alignment. And when you do that, you become a very powerful person. So for the very first time in my life, I was seeing things with clarity, actually seeing things for the way that they are. I was able to come out into the world and start a job at the bottom level, making minimum wage. Within 3 years, I was promoted 5 times and increased my pay 3 or 4 times. Now I was on salary, 401k, healthcare plan, and all those things, my own office. I met my wife, I had children. All these amazing, wonderful things are starting to happen in my life. We're getting to travel all over the world and, just amazing experiences, ones that I never could have even imagined when I'm sitting in that 8x8 cell, wondering how my life got so low. I could have never imagined these things. And so being able to do all these things and still being in that world, seeing the suffering that existed, just daily suffering. And it wasn't people that were like me, addicted to drugs or addicted to drink or addicted to women. It was people with common vices, smoking cigarettes, scrolling on their cell phones, shopping to the point where they couldn't pay their bills, overeating to the point where it was such a detriment to their health that it was affecting themselves and their families and the world around them. And I thought to myself, when I was going down these self destructive roads, nobody told me all these common sense solutions that I talk about on my podcast. Maybe it's on me. Maybe I can do it. And it could be my service to the world. And that's pretty much the gist of why I'm doing what I'm doing, and just trying to ease the suffering of people, teach them these simple solutions on how to increase the quality of their lives.
It's amazing. That's part of why I asked you to come on here is because I feel like you represent kind of a culture that I don't feel like is talked about enough. And that's the criminal culture actually. Not that you're a criminal, but you've been in there. You've been in that situation. And I know I've personally been getting a lot of messages from the universe lately around um, it's almost like they feel like we're ignoring that a little bit too much, like the people that are, really down and out. It's easy to do, but they're the ones that need the help the most. And as you were speaking, something came to me, and that is you're really powerful. Um, it was just a matter of where you were directing that power. So it almost makes me feel like a lot of criminals are very, very powerful, and that's why they become so extreme. They just misdirect it.
No, absolutely. I mean, what you're saying, in my opinion, is absolutely true. Not only criminals and the way that they think, behave, and move through the world, but also addicts. Because the way
Yeah.
that, first of all, a lot of the reasons why people get into drugs is because they're self-medicated. They have over-analytical brains. They think too much. They can't shut it off. Uh, that was certainly the case with me. Whereas I used drugs to shut my mind off. I couldn't take the constant chatter, the mental chatter. A lot of it was negativity. But when you see these people get clean, or you see these people direct their energies towards the light rather than the dark, they're really able to accomplish amazing things. And the part of having that dual life is like, A, if you made it through, you're a strong person. B, if you had the intelligence and ingenuity to get through that period of your life without dying or ending up in jail forever, you must be pretty intelligent. And thirdly, um, excuse me.
It happens all the time. Don't worry.
Oh, the street smarts. Excuse me. The street smarts that you gain. You have people that have multiple degrees and letters behind their name, but if you put them in a dangerous situation, they're not going to be able to maneuver. They're not going to have that common sense because
Right.
they haven't been in those street situations and became streetwise, getting that BS detector to be able to see through the nonsense of the world so they know when they're being scammed, manipulated, or abused. So if you're able to transcend to the blue collar or white collar level of life, like I myself have done, and then still holding on to that street knowledge, it's still very much of value uh, to what you're doing now. And also about people being down and out and on their bottom and broken. It All those things, it creates a strength in you. It creates a determination in you. It creates resilience within you. And we can go on not only to leave average, okay lives, which is something that I thought in the beginning, like, okay, I could just be average and okay and have a house and a car and a family. You can exceed those things. You can get beyond your wildest expectations if you've made it out from that style of living.
Yeah, absolutely. That's incredible. It's a real inspiration for anybody that's, you know, a lot of people have had addictions. In fact, probably more people than not at one point in their life have been through something like that. So, I love this kind of talk. I love addressing every end of the spectrum, not just talking, floaty spiritual stuff all the time, which I love, but you know, we're in a physical life. We are bound to fall at one point or another. And so, what you're doing is amazing. I want to ask you, um, what is your vision for yourself, others, and the world at this point, now that you're where you're at?
Well, it changes, and I think that's something that we should give ourselves the grace to do. When I
Mm.
first started out, it was like I said, I just wanted a normal life. I was tired of being addicted, being broken, being sad, being alone. If I could just have a family and a productive life, I was to be happy. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that vision. In fact, for some people, it may be the absolute best thing for you. Quiet, calm life with your family, comfort, But now the vision has changed. The vision has increased. I want to expand my impact. As the world gets a little bit darker, I want to amplify my light. I want to amplify my light and the light of the others. It's very nice for you to mention how much you love delving into the spiritual topics, but also living in the physical world of practical solutions.
Yeah.
But the trick of it is they go hand in hand. They're very much tied together because all the practical solutions that I've found and implemented in my life, they were given to me in the spiritual realm through prayer and meditation and yoga and breath work and taking cold showers, getting in the sauna and getting in the garden, putting my hands in the soil, getting my feet in the grass and collecting those free electrons from the earth, getting the sun on my skin and receiving all the vitamin D in my eyes. That's why I don't wear sunglasses. Then all these different tips and tools and techniques I talk about. And it is very spiritual in nature, but at the end of the day, 99% of it is backed by science and they're practical solutions, easy solutions, and ones that work. So it all integrates into my vision of seeing the dark in the world, amplifying my light, amplifying the light of the others, leaving a legacy in my family, not of millions of dollars, although I'm aggressively pursuing that, but a legacy of self-sustainability, which for my kids, that means how to fish, how to hunt, how to farm, how to grow their own food, how to collect water and purify it. And that may seem a little crazy to others and maybe a little extreme, but I want to leave a legacy of sustainability, of knowing what to do, knowing how to do it, knowing how to get it done. That's what I'm on. That's what my three boys are on. So we're working on buying some land, going to set aside a nice plot of land for the farm, growing organic, fresh food and vegetables to share with our neighbors and our community, and just really seeing where it goes, having that adaptability to give and take with life and let it flow. And as things come and change, absolutely give myself the grace to change. Maybe in a few years, I have the farm and I no longer like it and I want to sell it, start over and move to a totally different country and, totally change my lifestyle. I think that is just an interesting thing, and I want to live my life to the fullest. So sorry to keep going on and on, but
No,
yes, the vision just goes and it changes, and I want to let folks know to give yourself the grace to let it change, flow with life, and just be happy.
that's a great message. I don't think about that enough. Is just giving yourself the grace to change, because you're right. It's always changing. Um, Let me ask you right now. I see that you're a life coach. How are you working with people in regards, or actually, I should say, where do you stand even in regards to this quote unquote ascension that everybody's talking about that we're going through? Um, how are you? I guess how are you addressing that with people? Because I mean, there's a lot of different things going on, a lot of different consciousnesses. Um, Things are getting more extreme in every way. And so, what is your best suggestion to people around handling the way that the energy is going on this planet?
Well, I think you make a good point. I think you hear a lot of people talking about the Great Awakening and so forth, and you have so many things happening in the world that we've never seen before, or maybe
Yeah,
we have, and it's just so far back in history that we don't remember. But people are certainly all over with it. I think the most important thing for me is to always take it back to self. I can certainly go down the rabbit holes of anxiety, depression, and fear, nervousness about the future with my children and their safety and the structure of their lives, that they're going to be able to have what I had growing up, which even though I faced some problems, there was a simpleness to it that is just gone.
right.
So in that world, a lot of people can get a lot of different ideas.
Yeah.
Certain people can hear the Great Awakening and the shifting of consciousness and get excited and go to work on themselves. Other people could be stagnated, stuck in fear. And I deal with a lot of people that are on that end of the spectrum where they don't know what to do, they don't know how to do it, they're stuck in their ways. And I always remind them, just like I remind myself, because a great teacher is only teaching things that he wants to remind or her remind themselves of. And day in and day out, it's like, take it back to self. What can we do right here in the moment? Our power is here. Power is in the present. What can we do to put ourselves in the best possible position if any of these calamities or anxieties did fall in our lap? If we stand here for a day, 2 days, a week, a month, a year in fear, worrying, anxiety about this potential threat or this potential problem, then we wasted all that time when it actually falls in our lap. Now, if these things are even real, and a lot of times they're not, and a lot of the Great Awakening, the shifts, and all these things, people put their own spins on.
Right.
But ultimately, to me, it always comes back to the present moment. It always comes back to self. It always comes back to what can we be doing now with our energies, our effort, and our power to put ourselves in the best possible position to win when opportunity presents itself, or to thrive when problems arise. Because it's why we talk about training quite a bit on my podcast, is doing the cold showers, doing the sauna, working out, doing the meditations, doing the yoga, putting ourselves through this rigorous structure, because when times are easy, we will thrive because we are doing it. And when times get tough, we will be the ones with our head on a swivel, with our shoulders square, with our feet firmly planted on the ground, moving forward, while everyone else is scattering and running around, not knowing what to do. And therefore, that gives us that competitive edge to really be successful in trying times. Because whether that threat that you're thinking about or that awakening that you're thinking about is coming to your door, it may be a week, a month, a year, or two off. So let's take this time. Let's ground ourselves in the present. Let's prepare, because when it's easy, we're going to coast. We're going to fly through life. And when it gets difficult, we are going to be the ones that people are looking to get things done.
Right. Right. I love that. That is a very almost easy way to like approach this, is just to like really keep it as simple as right now. What are you
And
doing
sometimes
right
it
now?
has to be
Yeah.
this simple, because I mean, I'm speaking for myself here. I can get very anxious. I
Hmm.
can get very fearful. As big and strong, as tough as I am, I could be afraid, for my children sometimes, looking at the world. And that anxiety will really, really cripple me and buckle me and have me not performing at the highest possible level. And it only hurts me. It only hurts my family. It only hurts my health. And this thing, or may not, because with me, it could be any type of things that I'm concerned about, some things that people could call conspiracies and everything else. So it's really made up in my mind at this present moment. So let's go, let's do the work, and we'll all be thriving. And if the end is tomorrow, we worked our best, we tried our hardest, we lived a life to the fullest. Like I used to say in football, I left it all on the field, coach. I got nothing left. I'm dragging, barely getting back to the locker room. That's how I'm going to be on my deathbed. And that's how I encourage my clients to live. Just live your best, do your best every day, live in the present, and focus on what is necessary right in that moment.
All right. Awesome. That's amazing. Um, can you tell me what kind of client do you know? I mean, I'm sure you have a variety of them, but what kind of client is often attracted to you? What kind of client, what kind of person would be a really good fit for who you work with?
Well, I don't have a very various
Oh,
clients. I'm still very early in on this whole coaching business, and it's a really wild market because it's very unregulated, and you really don't know who a person is when they call themselves a life coach or a health coach and all these different titles that people almost seem to just put on themselves. So it's a very difficult thing. And working through it, I just have to find myself always being honest, always relying on my honesty and my authenticity.
yeah.
The folks that gravitate towards me so far have been that very nervous, anxious, fearful type. And I've been able to help them make some progress in their strength, their determination, their mental fortitude, and getting through their day successfully without the as many medications and without as many breakdowns, and better sleep and all these different things. And that comes from the meditation and the breath work
Yeah.
sessions and all that. But I think that I'm most tailored to, and what I would like to dive into more, and maybe I have to do some schooling to really bring on the clientele, are people that have vices, man. I mean, the number one thing that I am the best at is crushing bad habits. I've done it over and over again in my life. And I believe that the sculpting of our self mastery, I think that we're born like a big boulder. And sometimes we get shaped by the wind and the water and the emotions or traumatic events. But the real shading, the real carving is the one that we do ourselves,
Right.
as we sculpt the life we want, as we carve away all of the things that do not serve our highest possible purpose. And these things are drugs, drinking, cigarettes, promiscuous activity. I mean, casually. People are shopping till they can't pay their bills. People are scrolling their phone so they're spending all of their time not on their phone, judging other people, comparing their lives to other people. You know, these vices here in Florida, it's just gets crazy with the drinking and the drugging and the partying and all around the world. And people are doing this because they feel incomplete. They have a lack what I like to call the God hole. And not everyone believes in my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ like me. But when I didn't believe in anything, when I had no faith, when I had no higher power, when I thought it was all just chaotic coincidence, my life was trash and it was a mess. And because I felt incomplete, because I didn't have that faith in my life, I filled it with drugs and drinking and women and gambling and anything I could get my hands on. And when we get in tune with the universe, no matter what God we believe in, we're going to understand that there is a higher power, there is a plan. And not only that, that intelligent energy that flows through all things, the plants, the animals, the creatures of the world, it flows through us. And that is that spark of divinity that is within. That is when Jesus is talking about, don't look here, don't look there, look here. And when we feel that and we realize that and we start to sort of fire up that spark and make it a little brighter with the breath work, the yoga, the prayer, the meditation, the outside, the nature time, the connecting with friends and getting away from toxic relationships, the healthy organic food and clean water instead of the processed junk and fast food. When we start doing that, we start fine tuning this machine that we are. There really is no stopping us, only ourselves.
Absolutely. Yeah. I had an addiction myself when I was very young, and I am completely on board with you. There was honestly for me no fixing it until spirituality came in. So, I think you're on the right path for sure. Um, can you tell us a little bit more about, when you were in that heavily addicted state, and criminal state, a little bit more detail as to like how you pulled out?
Yeah, I mean, sure. I guess first, to be brutally honest, I'll
Hmm.
tell you where I was. And where I was on a regular basis was in an alleyway between some abandoned buildings in Camden, New Jersey. And I'd be there with the crackheads and the prostitutes, and I'm not judging them because I was just like them.
Yeah.
And I used heroin and I used cocaine and pretty much anything else that I could get my hands on. And wow, I sunk to probably some of the lowest places that a human being could be spiritually, emotionally. I was dead on the inside.
Yeah.
In fact, I woke up every morning and I cursed God because I wished that he would take me out in my sleep.
Yeah.
That's how down and out I was. Broken, I was sad, I was lonely, I was depressed, and I just wanted to die. That's where I was. Where I am now, happy, joyous, peaceful, content, loving family, thriving. Here shining in Southwest Florida, the pool, the weather's great here in December. Getting ready to do some more traveling. The podcast is going out of this world. My business is
Yeah.
starting to take off. The wife is doing great with school and her job. So just in a quick way, I couldn't be happier. Not
Yeah.
that I don't have more visions and more dreams, but I'm on my way there every single day, and it's tangible for me to feel and see. So my peace and my contentment is through the roof all the time. Even during my moments of frustration with the kids, the wife, whatever, I'm still grounded in gratitude because I remember where I came from. Now, the spark that pulled me out of it was something probably that I didn't admit because it just gets to be a really long story. Is
Okay.
I went to prison times, four times. And the fourth time, I was facing 19 years, and the good Lord finally scared the crap out of me. I say 19 years. I did 2 years. I did 3 years. I came home, did the same things I did to get to 2 and the 3 years. But this time I go, whoa, what are you doing here? At the same time that was happening, when I'm in and out of court and they're giving me these big numbers, I can't get a phone call out. My girl's not picking up. My friends aren't picking up. My mom's not even picking up. No one's answering my letters. No one's coming to visit me. No one's putting any money on my books. I'm really suffering. And I said, wow, I'm alone. I'm alone not only now here, although there's this stinky bunkie right here next to me. I'm alone, but I'm alone in the world. Totally. No one wants to do with me. No one wants to deal with me. Why? Because the way you've been living. So this hit me like boom, an epiphany. You're all alone. No one's coming to save you. So then at the same time as that sad thought was coming, you could save yourself. It's on you this time. No one's going to bail you out. No one's going to give you money. No one's going to save you. You have to do it. With that same thought, I start thinking, look how powerful of a human being you are, that you created this much destruction and misery in your life. Look how powerful you are. And I say, accept it for once now. This is your fault. Other people played a part, other people came in and out, but all this is your fault. So, with the revelation that I was by myself, but I could save myself, came the revelation that this was my fault, but it could also be my fault to get the hell out of here. And that was really it. Because once I had those two thoughts, no one's going to save you but you. This is your responsibility. You're that powerful to do it. You're that powerful to get out. That all came to me within the midst of like a millisecond. And that was the perspective shift that I needed to now open up my mind. You were doing things wrong. You don't know how to do it. You don't know how to do anything. Let's start listening to other people. Let's start opening our mind to different ideas. Let's start searching new information that you never would search before, because obviously you don't got the answers, man. But I saw people with better lives than me. I saw people with lives that I thought that would be nice. So the information had to be out there. And
Right.
I just went after it, and I went and got it.
That's so powerful. It's like you found your power in your taking responsibility, but also like you found your power in not relying on anyone. And so, wow, what a story. Very inspiring.
Rock bottom will give you a window, and that's why it's hard to help people who may have successful lives, may have a job, may have a spouse, may have the kids, the career, and everything that, from the outside perspective, or the outside world, they would look happy. But inside, a lot of them are suffering. A
Yeah.
lot of them are suffering day to day. They could live in a mansion. That mansion could be their prison if they're not right mentally. So they're a little bit harder to get to, because well, I got it all figured out, but are you happy? Are you peaceful? Are you content? Do you wake up excited like, whoo, I get to live another day? Because
Yeah.
that's the excitement that I'm talking about and that I will bring into your world. But the people that hit rock bottom, it gives you a window where you're like, wow, I got to do something different. And if you capitalize on that window, you're able to change the trajectory of your life. And that's what I did. And the prayer was huge for me. And I didn't believe in Jesus at the time. I was an atheist. But the prayer was a release. I did this. I'm guilty about this. I'm fearful about this. All these different things, just letting it out into the universe. It was a huge release. And then the meditation. The meditation allowed me to go to war with my demons and win. When I sat through the violence, when I sat through the negative imagery, when I sat through everything that pained me, made me feel guilty, made me feel less than, when I sat through all of that and listened to my demons, let them hit me with everything they had, but I stayed peaceful, I stayed calm, I stayed in my breath, I stayed still, and I fought through it. At the end of that meditation, I conquered my demons literally. And through meditation, I maintained the balance, because they're still there. They're waiting for an opportunity. But so it's the maintenance, it's the prayer, the meditation, the breath work, and all the different things that I mentioned that really keep me going.
Excellent. So inspiring. You are like you, you're the perfect person to work with people that are really down and out, because I mean, you just said it. You feel like they're easier. And I actually get that. I actually get why you feel like they're easier. It's almost like they've been more humbled because of the amount of suffering.
It's
So
true.
that's incredible. That's incredible. So I know that you're on a few different platforms. I'm going to put this information in the description of this video. Do you want to kind of verbally tell people where they can find you?
Well, it's pretty simple. I mean, my podcast is Creating Greatness Podcast. And if you never want to hire me as a coach, it's perfectly okay. The podcast will always be free. And the blueprint is right there in the word. You can go back to where I was facing a lot of the same struggles coming out of rock bottom. Whereas now it's different things like starting a business and doing all these different things. But before, it was conquering vices, getting my head on straight. So it's just a podcast, Creating Greatness Podcast. It's on Spotify. It's everywhere else. And on social media, I'm the king of comebacks, two Ks at the end, and it's for obvious reasons.
Yes. Obvious. Is that Facebook? Is that the King of Comebacks? Or
Facebook is my
oh,
name,
that's
Robert Michael Prasch Jr.,
okay.
and Instagram is King of Comeback. But if you search King of Comebacks in any platform, you'll find me. Or if you search in Creating Greatness Podcast. But if you want to get in touch with me to be on your podcast or come on my podcast, Creating Greatness Podcast at Gmail, all lowercase, probably be the best way to contact me.
Awesome. 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 All right. I love what you're doing. I love the angle that you have, because that's one of the reasons why I invited you on, is because I like I saw that you have a little bit different of an angle than a lot of people. Coming from the bottom, not to make it a better or lesser than thing, but coming from rock bottom is a super valuable thing to offer somebody because you have all that experience around pulling yourself up from the darkest of place. And I do find that those are often the strongest helpers in this world. So, do you have anything else you want to share with us?
No, I just thank you so much. It was an absolute pleasure. I go on a lot
Absolutely.
of podcasts. This one was very enjoyable.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, come back anytime if you have new stuff to talk about, and we'll hopefully see you again. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Take
Thank you,
care. God
Robert. Bye
bless.
bye.